During the course of this module, I have been completely liberated from a few of my misconceptions, especially during the sandpit sessions. My thought processes about failure was completely revamped. I learned that failure is not something that happens to you, but it's a state of mind, and never having to ever accept anyone else's state of mind to ensure that I do not fail. I learned that everyone has the ability to be creative and that we are always creative all the time, just that there hasn't been an applied theory to what we were doing. I understood that the smallest change or tweak can make a massive difference, especially within an organization, which can actually result in changes by the millions, either positively or negatively. I remember the story of the airline that reduced the number of olives in their served salad and saved millions. I had completed the Lego session and recyclable materials session in the past. It was interesting to see how my colleagues responded to the activity. Curiosity made them wonder what this was all about. Some people wouldn't even do it. I remember thinking the lecturer has implemented this activity for a reason. What was it? The answer will be found in participation, surely. Afterwards, I was a little disappointed as I did not think that I'd learned anything. Then when reading the core text by Eagleman, I came across this statement. Extant literature which draws numerous links between aspects of human resource development, activity and organizational creativity, innovation, noting that investments in learning positively impact creative output. Within this research base, studies actually suggest that the ability to self-direct learning can influence creative performance, but we do not yet understand how such processes can work or operate in SMEs. I started to wonder, does that mean that being thrown in and just doing it, not really understanding the how or the why, I'm actually able to learn and enhance my creative output? I then looked back at the activity when there were no instructions or reason, but there was something made by just being curious.
With the kitchen rolls and bottle covers, by the time we got to that sandpit session, everyone actually knows what sandpit is all about, what we're supposed to do with whatever we're given. And with the kitchen roll, I would say I would relate it personally with the theory of, the pattern recognition theory and being an outrospection, in the fact that when we had the kitchen rules, some had immediate ideas, some didn't. However, by looking at other people's idea, others other had the idea to build upon other people's idea, which is quite interesting because you were able to identify certain patterns and say, okay, I can identify that. Why don't I do something more or add this more to it? It was really amazing to see what was coming out. And for me, I was trying to build myself. However, I was more interested in looking at what was actually happening, how interesting, how fun, how creative people are, how outwardly we're actually looking. It's not about us now. We're looking at what other people are doing and moving and building upon it, which is quite interesting and quite powerful for me.
The sandpit where we were told to construct a table, my colleague Anne was able to come up with unique ideas for the different materials to use and how it would work. In a later conversation with her, I learned that she has a background in interiors and she had previously worked in that field. My learning from that was that we can pull on our own experiences and different exposures and use that as a resource to fund any project or business that we embark on. From the field trip, the activity, I learned that the innovation can happen anywhere and any surrounding environment can make an impact on your business, just like the different kind of soil can make an impact on a seed sown. For example, a traditionally British cafe in a predominantly Asian community may not do too well as it's not meeting the needs of the community that it's in. So if you're not a curious business owner, able to recognize that and out-innovate in order to compete, the likelihood is that the business would fail.
When we visited the cafe, it was an interesting experience as first we all were looking for Simon as he was hiding somewhere. We went to all the shops in that area looking for him. At last we found him on the street, turned out as a random person. Then we went to the cafe. At the end of the lecture, some of us started chatting with the lady on the counter. She told us that they have changed their menu from English to Romanian, as the majority of population in this area are Romanian food lovers and Romanians. From the sandpit, we learned to be focused about your surrounding, as we all were looking for Simon. And when the lady told us about the cafe, we learned that in business you should have a plan, and you should change the plan and your strategy according to the market demand and requirement of the customers.
For me, I got the aim of the field trip at the final session, but upon reflection on that field trip, I could actually look at what happened in the room and look at the article that we read about how hungry was your mind.
Internet ball sandpit, I learned that when looking at any inventions, it's important to look at every aspect, for example, its shape, its color, and to understand how it functions. However, it's also important to look past this and look at the root of the product to see what can be created out of this core component and if it can be used in another way. The lecturer asked us to see if the ball can be used differently, and it was a question that nobody knew the answer to. This is due to the lack of the experience, or was it? A tennis ball player will have a problem doing this as they have become accustomed to use the ball in the same way, and would have formed a barrier and not being able to see is being reused differently. So it is important to take note of the entire aspect of any invention.
So in summary, I feel like I've learned overall to stay alert to the various resources and the apparatus that is around me, whether it be people, information, resources or places. Anything and everything can be a credible asset to use in order to achieve what I desire to, whilst always remembering that failure is a state of mind. I do not need to accept anyone else's mindset.